Hello everyone, my name is Kevin Hernandez and welcome to Spill the Tea. And today we are spilling the tea on tobacco, which is brought to you by the Community Coalitions for Change, who works on reducing underage drinking, smoking, and other drug use one community at a time. Today we have prevention specialist Mirza Martinez with us today. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us, Mirza.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you. Tell us a little bit who you are, what you do, and how does your work connected in the city of Colton?
Well, I started as you very well said, I'm with Central Valley Prevention Program. It's a program of mental health systems. And I started working for environmental prevention 10 years ago in 2010. And the first city that was designated to me was Colton. I only knew one family in Colton at the time, and the mission of our agency is to work with community to reduce underage drinking, smoking, and other drug use through community action projects. So it was a little bit challenging, but I found out very fast that Colton is a very unique community. One of the strengths that I found in Colton is that there's a lot of Colton pride among the residents. There's a sense of community. Families don't move away; they live there for generations, and so there's a strong bond between community members. And I think the best thing that I found is that many of the adults in Colton in positions of leadership deeply care about youth, and they don't view youth as just the future of Colton, but they also think of the youth of Colton as the present of Colton. So I was very taken by that, and it's been a wonderful experience. I've enjoyed working in Colton, so I feel part of the community all the way. It's been an amazing experience.
Thank you, Mirza. That was very cool to hear about you. According to a California Student Tobacco Survey from 2017, most high school students reported living in a home that had complete bans on vaping, which is 76.3%, and smoking, which is 84.2%. A lot of times we hear that the problem is at home. Can you explain to us what the relationship is between home and environment when it comes to underage smoking and vaping?
Yes, I think that's a very common thing that we hear in many scenarios, that it always goes back to the home. And I think that one thing that can help explain the concept of the relationship between the individual approach to help reduce underage drinking and other drug use, underage smoking, and trying to take an environmental approach as to how we can do that is easy to understand if you think about the things that you, as a young person, think about when you're growing up. There are things that help you make decisions, good decisions in life. And there are certain things that you practice in certain environments that keep you safe. So part of the individual approach to helping reduce the problem of underage drinking, smoking, and other drug use is what are those safety nets that you have in place at the individual level. You as a student, as a person, you, your brothers, your sister, what do you guys have in place? You have family, your family has family values, you have rules at home that you have to live by. You don't get to do whatever you want. So that's a safety net for you. The other part is when you go to school, as an individual, you're a student, and then there's rules at school that keep you safe, and there's regulations. There are things that you're not allowed to do, and this is part of all growing up and maturing and understanding and learning how to make better decisions. I know that you played soccer for many, many years. So when you were in your, when you went to your soccer team, your coach, the league that you played in, that was another environment where you were learning about rules and regulations and how to play the game. And so those are all safety nets. If you go to church, if you go to a youth group, you learn values there too. So all those at individual level, all those things help keep you safe and help you make better decisions based on a set of values that you're learning and a set of rules that you're following. Then, so that is the individual. So your home is part of that individual approach. But when you go out in the community and you're not at church, you're not at home, you're not at school, you're not, with your team that you play soccer with, you're out in the open, then there is the environment. So the whole city of Colton is a bigger environment. And in that environment, there are social norms. There are things that people, that are popular in Colton and things that are not. There are regulations to products, and there may be or there may not be. So, if we're talking about flavored tobacco and we're talking about vaping, there may be regulations in the city or there may not be. So what's regulating those products? So in that environment of a bigger space, if it's a shared space in your community, then you find that there are things that make it easy or hard for kids to have access to, in this case, tobacco or tobacco products. So the difference between that individual approach, we cannot separate them. And many times when you say, well, the problem is at home, or the problem is at school, well, they're actually, all those dots are connected. You may encounter a situation anywhere in those in those individual environments or in the bigger environment. But one thing that we need to make sure, and this is why the work of the coalitions and environmental prevention work is so significant and so important, because we look at you as an individual, as a young person, also in contact with a bigger space, which is the environment where you live, where your home is, where your school is. So that is the difference between taking the individual approach or just looking at the smaller settings where you move and you live and you function, and looking at the environment as a bigger place where we share that space. And now we're looking at bigger challenges, because in that environment is where we're going to find, different substances, different things that you will or will not have access to. So the goal of environmental prevention is the safety net is to find a way to reduce the risks so that kids don't have easy access to, in this case, flavored tobacco or tobacco products, vaping products. I know that yesterday I was very shocked to see that there are promotions. I went to the gas station and there's a big sign that says that you can get, I think, 4 jewels for $20 or $25. So that right there is saying, if 4 kids have $5, they can just get together and buy this package deal. And there you go, everybody has a jewel. So we have to be very, very, very aware of what's out there in the environment that's making it easy for kids to have access to different drugs. Are there any regulations? Is something, is something in the environment, the social norming, it's become so popular to vape, so it's not something that kids are hiding to do it, because it actually makes them look cool, and so it's become really popular.
Thank you for the explanation. That leads me to our next data point. The survey also points out that the majority of students, which is 86.6%, who visited convenience stores in the last 30 days reported seeing tobacco ads and promotions. Would you say that it is also an environmental issue?
It's definitely an environmental issue. I think that one of the things that we're not aware, I used to work for early intervention program, and there's something called pre-exposure, exposure, or early exposure of different things. So the way kids learn to read environmental printing is by, you're driving by Home Depot and you see that orange sign, or you're driving by McDonald's, and kids learn to read the signs before they learn to read. So they will see, they see a McDonald's sign and they see, oh, that's McDonald's. They're environmentally reading that sign, because that is a picture that is stored in their heads, and they know that's Home Depot, and so they memorize all this information, right? If they can't read the sign letter by letter, but they know that's Home Depot, that's Walmart, that's McDonald's. So the same thing happens when we go to our local stores. Tobacco retailers or stores that sell tobacco. I know that if you really think about it, when you walk into small stores, there's advertising. And the advertising is there, and you see it over and over and over again. It's in the environment. The advertisement is in the environment. So it's really hard to miss it. When you walk into a small store, where do you see the ads? They're typically around the register, they're in the doors, the windows. It's creating an environment that's promoting something. Because you don't see it that way, you're going in there to buy potato chips. But before you buy the potato chips, your brain has, your eyes have already seen all this advertising. And it just goes into, it creates a memory bank of information that's related to tobacco and tobacco products. So all around, as you're getting closer to the register, when you go in, you see advertising everywhere, not just tobacco, but also, alcohol advertising. I know that, come Cinco de Mayo, that just happened, you see all this advertising and all these specials, right? You can get so many packs of beer for a reduced price. Or like I told you right now, the gas station, that big sign, and I can tell you, I wear glasses. It would be hard for me, but the sign is so big. I'm pumping gas, and I see the sign from a distance, and it's so big, right by the door, and it's promoting that, we have a special on a reduced price on the Juuls, vaping devices. So yes, definitely, it's in the environment, and it's there. I mean, you don't even, when you walk into a small store and you see advertising that's so low, at children's eye level, you got to wonder, how much information is going into this little person's brain just by looking around. And that's what we do. That's what our brain does. It takes millions of pictures a day and it stores them. And when you have enough of them, it starts connecting them. So the environment has a lot to do, and environmental factors have a lot to do with the way we start normalizing things and normalizing products. They're just part of our life.
In addition to all this, we may not even realize that this is happening around us. The survey also points out that more students reported being exposed to secondhand vapor, which is 29.2%, and smoke, which is 32.1%, in a room more than in a car. Can you explain to us briefly what first, second, and third hand smoke is?
Yeah, I think we're more familiar with the term of secondhand smoking and very unfamiliar with the term of third-hand smoking. First-hand smoking is the person directly smoking the product. So that is the individual that's actually smoking. So that's first-hand. Second-hand is the person that may be, around the person who is smoking. And a lot of times, I had an experience of I was walking downstairs from work, and there was a dad and with a little girl, and he was reprimanding her for some reason, and he was vaping. So she had gotten in trouble for whatever reason, and he was scolding her. And because he was vaping, the little girl was just standing there, and as he's scolding her and vaping at the same time, there's smoke all over, all around this little girl's head, basically, because he's leaning toward her and he's talking to her, and vape is, this vape is coming out of his mouth, so that to me is the perfect illustration of what secondhand smoking is. People don't realize that nowadays, because it smells good, because it may smell like blueberry, it may smell like candy, or it's not going to bother the person. So this little girl wasn't bothered by it. She was just standing there, and I could smell it. I can smell the fruity flavor. So it almost smells like candles. Really, it's kind of pleasant. So you're not going to move away from it because it doesn't really bother you as much anymore. But secondhand smoking has everything to do with being around people that are smoking, or being in spaces where people are smoking. Sometimes you go like, okay, I don't smoke, but you go to a kickback, you go to a get together with your friends, and people are smoking or vaping in a closed space. A house is like a box. So you go in there and people are vaping and smoking. Are you really not smoking, or are you secondhand smoking? Everybody's smoking. I remember, when I was in school, it wasn't, there was no regulations against smoking. So I went to university in a place where it was allowed to smoke in the classroom. I've never been a smoker, but I was hand smoking all the time. I was secondhand smoking all the time because especially when we had a test, everybody decided to smoke. And there's, 20 people in the room or 25 people in the room, and 10 or 15 are smoking. We're all smoking. So I know that, that is something we don't think about. But when my father-in-law passed away, due to a heart condition, he was a smoker all his life. And his wife was always, next to him, and she was always secondhand smoking. So when he passed away, she got really sick. She had a heart condition. And when she went for the x-ray, the doctor told her, well, the first thing I want you to do is you need to stop smoking. And then she said, I don't smoke. But her lungs were completely affected by secondhand smoking, as if she had been a smoker herself. So the danger of secondhand smoking may be greater because we don't realize that we're smoking. So third-hand smoking, happens when, that example where a smoker, a dad may come in the house, he's been smoking in the car, or, he smoked at work. So he thinks, okay, I only smoke outside. He's going to come in the house, but all that nicotine is attached to his clothes, his body, his hair. So now he's going to come home and he's going to pick up his baby. And babies are, you're going to bring them close to you. So that baby is exposed to third-hand smoking because now it's on your clothes. And that is something that even when we go out and do education at health fairs, people are very unfamiliar with the dangers of third-hand smoking. So it could be in the furniture. You can go to a person's house who's a smoker. The furniture is, impregnated with the smoke. So being aware of that is so important to our health.
That's very interesting, Michelle. That's it. Can you also explain the part of more exposure in a room versus exposure in a car?
Yeah, well, I think this also has a lot to do with the environment. We talked about the environment before. why is it, in my generation, people used to hide to smoke, people used to, kids, if they were smoking, there's no chance that they were going to do it publicly. They would do it in smaller spaces, they would go in the car and smoke in the car. Now, over the years, and because the social norms have changed and we've normalized smoking, vaping, using these products has become so popular that people do it openly. So now, the data that you're sharing with us is telling us that it's really more in the bigger spaces that you're exposed. People are not really smoking in their cars. In fact, some smokers don't allow other people or smoke themselves in the car. They actually prefer to smoke outside the car. So I think that because, the social norms have changed so much, and vaping is such a very popular thing among youth, it's more like showing off, it's more like being out there open and everybody should, or it's important that everybody sees me, because now it's, certain behaviors are glorified, normalized, so you see that smoking happening in bigger settings, not really inside the car.
No, I have also a follow-up question. Before we conclude this interview, do you mind sharing with us 3 things we can do to escape the vape and smoking epidemic?
Well, I would recommend that young people, be informed. That's what you did. That's what your family does. That's what your siblings have done. You became aware of a problem. 10 years ago, when I went to do work in Colton, I started encountering youth that stayed with the coalition. They were looking for information. They were confronting, that peer pressure every day. Their friends start to smoke, their friends start to drink, and they're not sure, what they should do because they don't want to lose their friends. So your siblings, many of your friends, you became part of this coalition, and you became informed about the issue. So once you have information as to why you should, or why it's not a good idea, or what the real consequences, health-wise, consequences to your academics, once you become aware of something that may cause a problem or make it hard for you to reach your life goals, your academic goals, then you start thinking it's not really worth it. So information is everything. Information can change a person's life. So I would say, number one, stay informed. If you don't know something, then find out, and don't look for advice or information among your friends. And there are sources of information that are reliable. Look for sources of information that are reliable. In Colton, we have this coalition. It's open to anybody. So for one, stay informed. Number two, reach out to youth organizations that work with youth. Be part of something. Be part of larger groups and groups that fight for causes that help improve the conditions in the environment for youth. I always say that the issues that you're confronting as your generation should be addressed by your generation. So number three, call us if you want any more information about the risks of underage drinking, smoking, or other drug use, the conditions in the environment, what is the status on your city, call Kevin, make contact with us at the coalition email. We have also a Facebook. There's different ways you can contact, and if you have a lot of people that like to talk to other young people, talk to kids that are actually informed about the issue. So calling coalition members is a great thing. So those are 3 things that I would recommend. take a stand, take ownership of the issues that affect your generation and move to action. Create a safer environment for yourself, for your friends, and for future generations.
No, thank you, Marissa. Well, we're at the end of the interview already. Is there anything you would like to say to our viewers, to our friends who are watching us today?
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate you. I know that you recently graduated from high school. I know that you plan on pursuing higher education, as well as your sister, many of your friends. But I want to personally congratulate you, Kevin. You've been a member of this coalition since you were, I think, in middle school. So you've had a journey with this coalition. You've worked to help reduce underage drinking, smoking, and other drug use in your community. So I want to congratulate you for graduating from high school this year. And I look forward to all the wonderful things that you're going to do. I know that you're very interested in media. So we're very glad to have you as a coalition member, and again, just congratulations. It's a wonderful time for you, and you have a bright future ahead of you.
Thank you, Marissa. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again for joining us on Spill the Tea. This has been Marissa. And also don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Community Coalitions for Change. This has been Kevin, and we'll spill the tea next time. Thank you.
Hey everyone, this is a message on behalf of the Colton Community Coalitions for Change. This video is a reminder that you can all make a positive change in your community to help reduce tobacco and other drug use among youth. How, you may ask? Calling all Colton residents! We invite you to take part of our current Mission Possible campaign to reduce youth access to tobacco products. All youth and adults are welcome to participate from the city of Colton. By joining this campaign, you'll have the opportunity to express your opinion on underage tobacco use and to be a part of the positive community conversation. Sign up today to receive your very own Mission Possible kit, which includes this cool t-shirt and more. For more information or to join this campaign, email communitycoalitionsforchange@gmail.com. And again, thank you for watching. Enjoy your day.